Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to watch Jimmy make it work. Whoa, hello sunshine, how you doing? Hope you're doing well, thanks for tuning in. We're gonna head in the shop and make it work today. We got a lot of cars out in the parking lot and people standing next to them waiting for us to get it started. So, without further ado, let's try to learn something. Let's have some fun. Stay tuned. All right. Now the ALDL will work on his 03 Tahoe. I remember I put a rear main seal in this not too long ago. He's got a check engine light on and apparently an extended crank on occasion. So I'm thinking the cam sensor we put in there is probably junk. Wouldn't be the first time. So we're gonna get these two to talk and we're gonna find out exactly why the light's actually on and see if that cam sensor has something to do with it that we put in. The ALDL wasn't working, so it popped the cigarette lighter fuse, which happens to also work the ALDL. Get in this thing and see what kind of code we got. Transfer case. Doesn't have a transfer case. It's two-wheel drive. Two-wheel drive. Read fault code. DTC information. Knock sensor circuit low frequency. It doesn't have a cam sensor code. Stealing cars, stop it. Alright, so that's not on because of the extended crank. Push the little unlock button. Okay, well, since I did get the thing to do an extended crank for me, it cranked about, I don't know, 6 seconds or so. I turned the key off and back on and started right up. That's indication of a cam sensor issue. So I brought up my cam sensor data PIDs, high to low and low to high, and an engine speed. So what we're going to do is get this thing to do it and try to catch it while we're cranking it. It also needs a lock cylinder and key because sometimes it doesn't turn, but he's not worried about that. He's worried about when it actually turns and the engine cranks too long. So we're going to try that to see if we can get it to show us something. It's got to do it while I'm testing it. Yeah, it's not doing it that time. And it also doesn't have live data because I turned the key off and back on probably. I'm gonna have to back out, pick the data stream PIDs again that I need, and start over, try to do it. I'm gonna keep repeating it, see if I get it to show me something, and I'll show you guys. Give it to me, come on! Alright, can't get it to do it on a regular basis, does it very rarely. So we'll see how much time we're supposed to spend on that. The knock sensors are under the intake, and the cam sensor is back there, and it's got intake's got to come off for that too. So let's see what happens on the Tahoe. Oh, it's got a new alternator. We didn't put that on, I don't think. We're going to do a warranty cam sensor. I think he's going to get a Delphi one. This one was from AutoZone or something, I guess. So I'm going to see if I can get my chubby little mitts back there and get to the cam sensor without pulling the intake. So wish me luck. I'm going to try out this Traxion topside creeper so I don't take the front tires off. See if I can get myself up in there and get a 10mm on that sensor. I can just touch it. Oh man, manufactured using only the highest quality components. Nice, made in China. Look at this thing. Don't mix them up now because it's the same thing. We're gonna try a new one, see what happens. I didn't mean to make it look so easy. Completely accidental. I got the engine cover on this thing. A little optimistic. I didn't put the creeper away yet though. It's a little harder to get that out. Let's go fire this thing up, see what happens. Oh, it's fixed. Okay, I'm basically done with this one. I guess he doesn't think the guy's going to want to mess with the knock sensors. He's hoping everything's free, I guess, but the cam sensor was, so Let me see if we could go any further on this. I'll let you guys know. I'm going to try to start it a bunch of times, make sure it doesn't do it again. It seemed like every 15, 20 times you started it, it would do the extended crank. You let off the key and hit it again, it started right up. And he says it did not do that before. So another cam sensor, we'll see what happens. And I will continue on this one, obviously, if we're going to do any more to it. ...2003 Honda Accord. 279,480 just broken in miles. Customer says they lost some coolant and the engine shut off, and now they got a check engine light on. So I'm going to pop the hood, take a look around under the hood first, see if we can find something obvious. Then we'll get the scanner on it and see all the reasons the check engine light might be on a car with 280,000 miles on it that's 20 years old. Let's do it. You might be saying to yourself, you didn't give this thing a love rating and the phone is ringing. The love rating on this is going to be, I'm going to say, for a car this age, I'm going to say 6. And I'm going to go get the phone. So it's ringing a lot. Poured a little water in there. That's our culprit. So now we just got to figure out where that's coming from. It almost looks like the water pump to me. Gotta get a light. All right, now we can see. Yep, this water housing is the culprit. It looks like it's been changed, but a while ago. And it's from Ohio, so the bolts are rusty. Probably not helping. All right, let me let them know. I'm gonna pull the code, see what the codes are, and also start it up and see if it tries to push water out of the radiator. You guys keep an eye on the coolant coming out of that radiator neck for me, and let me know if you see something. Looks good to me. What do you think? No misfires or anything like that, so the head gasket's probably fine. While they work on this estimate, I got a 2005 Explorer. They're waiting for some rear brakes. Another classic. Well, I guess it's not quite 20 years old. Ooh, I guess I'll move that mop bucket so I don't drive over it too. I don't know who put that there. Silly. 2005 Ford Explorer. In pretty good shape. It's got the leather upgrade. 147,223 miles on this. This thing's in pretty good shape. I'm gonna give it a 6. A little vacuuming and a little detail work, probably a 7. Maybe even an 8. Anyway, quick rear brake job, machine rotors. I haven't looked at it yet. I think they sold it on an oil change rack. Let's see. Okay, I want to see these nuts. Oh, look at those. Those are beautiful nuts. The question is 19 or 20? 19. Oh. I mean 19 or 21, silly. You know what I meant. Give me a hard time about it. Okay, this thing's been denutted. Now we'll see what the brakes look like. Uh-oh. Interesting, interesting. Caught them just in time. They're down to 8 millimeters. Break these loose with my little mountain wrench. Only 10 millimeter. Spin them out with a high performance electric tool. Save the pickle juicers. Brakes, thank you, sir. Caught these just in time. They're already down to 8 millimeter. Heck yeah. Caught it. How do you like that? I'll have to slow-mo that. Still got good reflexes, even for an old son of a gun. Some people don't grease these because they're a little tricky. But what I do, I just put a little bit on the metal slide. Then I take a pocket screwdriver, get a little bit of grease inside the chamber there, because it'll push the grease off the pin when you push it in otherwise. So you definitely want to make sure there's some grease in the area where it actually rubs only in this part, and this is just a dust protector on either side. So you definitely want some grease on the part where it rubs. And then some of it will get pushed off the boot when you shove it back in, but it's going to be okay because there'll be some grease in there and get some lubrication. These were pretty dry too. They move nicely, but I always look, because when people see this design, they just tend to not grease them and go, "That'll be all right." And what I'll do is I'll get this started like that. Now again, pocket screwdriver. Try to keep it from getting everything off of the pin. And you snap the boot on in the lip on the other side. Same thing here. Spring on the piston, spring on the pad snaps into the piston, hopefully. Sometimes they are a bear. And all you do then is get a little persuader. It goes right in. No big deal. This brake pad, the little pins on the pad will snap into the bracket on the caliper. And there's also some hardware for this. I didn't even get the rotor on the lathe yet, but we're going to turn the rotors too. Might as well, right? I don't know if the customer has a complaint or something either. But the wire brush action. Now, that's plenty of grease for both. Doesn't take much. This is just for rust prevention. And I don't think this one's going back up north. I'm not sure. I don't think it's even from up north, actually. A little more grease than that. Alright, let's get those rotors cut. Light! Aha! I got this rotor mounted up here. I'm getting ready to turn it, but looking closer, I do not like the way this lip is right here, and the pad goes right to that edge. You see that? Almost looks like it was over machined. So, minimum thickness, discard, minimum thickness 11 millimeter. So I set my trusted dial caliper to 11 millimeter. This thing's a full millimeter under already, and I haven't machined it yet. It's going to need 2 rotors. Alright, we'll be back. Now it's going to be pads only. They don't have the money for the rotors, so it makes me even more sad. Oh, there is a left and a right to these pads. See the notches? I didn't realize that. The pads are identical other than that. That just means you got to put the front of the pad in first, and then the back will slip down. Give me that. Alright, on the other side. It does have some uneven pad wear, so I'm guessing one of these slides is probably hung up over here. Yeah, this slide's rusty, so. Alright. Now I feel better. We'll be getting this thing in better shape somehow. That's why, you know, people go, "Oh, those are a pain in the butt," and they just don't lubricate them. And that's what happens. Pretty nasty. So we'll clean this up on the wire wheel and Spray some deep creep in here. Do the other one as well. I'll run a wire brush through it. You can pull these boots out too, but sometimes they'll tear if you do that, and since we already have no money, I'm going to try not to do that. We'll see how it cleans up with a wire brush. I have like a bristle brush that's not even really wire, it's a nylon, and we'll clean it up real good. And once we lube this, we'll make sure everything moves nice and smoothly. We'll be in good shape. It's pitted pretty good, but we got it clean and we're on a budget, so it'll work. I'm gonna make sure I get this as clean as I can. Get all the loose rust and scale out of there. The tiniest little bit of moisture gets in these boots, and there's not enough lubrication on these pins, and that's what happens. So, again, I'm gonna get some grease down in the part that it actually rides in, and in the boots, and we'll see how this thing works when we get it back together. I suspect it'll be fine. Started in the lip. Pocket screwdriver to keep the grease from getting all wiped off. Good to go. Good to go. Push the slide out of your way. So this one. Quick, easy pad slap. I know some people won't like it, but we did get the uneven pad wear problem fixed. Frozen slide or sticky slide. It probably affected the brake pedal feel, made the pedal feel slightly low because the caliper doesn't really what'll happen is that since it's bound up, the piston will move, and the piston will move back, and the caliper doesn't accommodate, so it ends up making the pedal feel weird. So anyway, I'll go ahead and button this up, get these wheels torqued. Short road test, make sure there's nothing weird going on. And this one will be done. If you haven't seen my other videos, if you put your torque wrench on there and it doesn't move and it goes click, they're over tight. If you're using the right specification. We are awful close to that steering wheel. You pump the brake pedal up before you back out. It's a tip. I've seen guys jump in a vehicle, they did brakes on after pushing the pistons back and start backing up and hit the brakes and nothing happens because the pistons haven't come out yet. You get in a rush, that's what happens. I'm gonna go seat these pads, make sure everything's good to go, and we'll see what's next. 2012 Acura. Customer states it just clicks and won't start. Go ahead. Try it again. All right, thank you, sir. Something wrong. All right. Go to DC. 12.2 volts. Let's check voltage drop. This is on the positive. I'm going to put this on the positive. Not on the cable, but on the starter lug. I shouldn't have any voltage or very little voltage on my meter. Anyone who's not familiar with the voltage drop test, what that does is, if the voltage can pass through the meter, that means there's resistance in the connection. So it goes through the meter easier than it gets through the connection, if that makes sense. So I know I got good power as far as voltage drop goes, so now we'll check for voltage drop on the ground side. Starter case to the battery cable. Just a tiny little bit. Let's check the engine block.
Hey Jimmy.
Pretty good.
Want a YouTube short?
I got one right here, man. What do you got? Uh-oh. Interesting. This must just have a bad starter. My power and grounds are good, and it just clicks. So, cable's tight. I'm going to make sure the engine turns, and if it turns, then we're going to sell my starter. It turns, and it's got compression. Needs to start it. Made a short about it. Joe's working on this one. Customer wanted his brakes checked. Here's a noise. See, when we told him what was wrong, he wanted to come see it. They didn't believe us. So, well, the Space Saver is basically bald now. The left front tire is bald, and the left rear tire has seen better days. So, this tire's on the inspection bar, but it's not bald yet. So, needs 4 tires and a starter. Let's go up front and see what happens with this one. While we're waiting on some estimates, for those of you who might be keeping up my project truck videos on Sundays, got this A-pillar all done, rebuilt all the rusted stuff on Sunday. That video just came out yesterday. I did the top sound deadener and I sprayed rust killer on here, basically like a Pour 15 product. Eastwood calls it encapsulator. Sprayed it all down. You can see it came through some of the spots where, well, some of this just splattered from outside. Some of it came through spots that I have to put seam sealer on. So this is ready to go. Got a new dome light I got to drop in before I put the new roof panel on. That'll probably be in the next video. You guys have seen those on Sundays, right? If you haven't, you're missing out. Probably some of the most exciting content you'll ever see on YouTube. Probably. Got approval on the starter. It's down there somewhere. So I'm going to take the battery and the battery tray out of this thing. Come off. Come, oh, thank you. That one came right off. Oh, what am I going to do? Those are on there kind of far. Uh-oh. Don't worry. I built a contraption ahead of time. I knew. I knew. Alright. Alright now. You can fight it. And you're apparently gonna. I'm gonna get it off of there anyway. You know what? If I pull this out of there, I can see how this unhooks. It's not the other side unhooked.
I took yours. I took the new one out. Assuming that one is.
Alright. Oh, look, it's right there. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I took that one out.
So what is the big deal?
Just to see what was going on. See what was doing. You did make it work.
Alright. Now we'll have this out of here lickety split, like my grandpa used to say. So, looks like a 12, an electrical connector. Yeah, here it is. And, uh-oh, 14s, they face this way instead of the way that you would normally expect a starter bolt. Look where these turkeys put these bolts at. See those things? It's probably hard for you guys to see, huh? They're hidden in there. There's one down there under the wiring. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. Ah! Come on now. Oh, there you go. Told you it was easy to come right out. I'm gonna probably break these loose with my big 3/8 gear wrench, and then oh, I need an extension on that one. And then I'll just use my quarter drive to spin them out. There it is, somewhere like that. It's a little hard to see. Oh, that one's Honda tight. That is good stuff. Honda's like, you know what? One thing I hate is when starter bolts come flying out going down the road. Well, now I just robbed my little adapter from my battery box.
Oh, what about that line?
Custom thing.
We had to order it.
Oh, it hadn't showed up yet?
No, it's dealer.
Now where are you at, Mr. Bolt? You know what I might need? A pocket screwdriver with a magnet on it. That might help. I could probably leave it in the starter and lift it out of there. Okay, now we're getting close. Come on now. Don't be like that. You know, it went back in. That's terrible news. Alright. Now it's getting real. Now I'm getting a real magnet. I don't want to hear it. I'm over here moving the starter, and the radiator hose is moving, and a vacuum line's moving with it. I'm like, what the heck is going on? That bracket should bolt to the engine. It wouldn't make any sense to bolt it to the starter. Well, apparently it does. That's alright. Don't be. I already put my impact gun on tight, assuming that my next use of it would be to install the starter bolts. Honda loves to do stuff like this. These weird over-engineered brackets and stuff, but hey, whatever. This car does have a lot of miles on it. I made a short teasing people about Hondas braking, because they all brake, but this does have a ton of miles on it, but it's still funny. Come on now. Oh, don't lose your little shim. Starter's got a cool shim on it. I'm guessing that's got to go on the other one. I guess it's a gasket? What the heck would you need a gasket on your starter for? Oh well, it's my job to figure that stuff out. Just to put a starter in. Alright guys, well that escalated quickly. My starter wasn't here. I went to go find some stuff and started working on my project truck, and then the day ended. So we're all closed up just like that. Thanks for watching today's video guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed having you here. Hope I see you in the next video. You're awesome.